What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. And on today's episode, a Saturday episode, we'll be talking about injury updates to Alex Caruso, Patrick Williams, Zach LaVine, and Io and Vooch. It's quite a bit. We'll also be talking about Lonzo Ball a little bit, and mainly on this episode, we'll be diving into the mailbag. I know I haven't been really getting into you guys' voicemails too much over the course of this week, so we're going to be catching up today. All that on a Saturday's episode of Chicago Bulls Central. I'll see you guys right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central.
All right, Bulls fans. So first, I do want to start with the update to Alex Caruso's injury. So it looks like he's actually been he's now listed as questionable along with Zach LaVine, but they are not ruling him out to play tonight for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now I'll be monitoring and seeing if we get an update or not. If we do get a for sure update, I'll drop another video at some point today just to update you guys on that happening. But this is really, really exciting. The fact that he, I think, only participated in a handful of practices or maybe even just a couple of practices, and now he's been upgraded to questionable. That does make it promising that even if he doesn't end up coming back for this game, his return's probably going to be next week. You guys know I've had that March 14th game penciled in for quite a while as being the game where everybody returns. So hopefully Caruso does make that. Now it doesn't look like Patrick Williams or Lonzo Ball are going to make that, but it's good to have Alex Caruso back. Let me know what you guys think Alex Caruso's impact is going to be on his first game back from a long time being out with injury. Let me know all that down below. Let's go ahead and get over Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine also is being listed as questionable. He did miss Friday's practice. Now, this seems more of a precautionary thing than it being something serious, at least I hope. But I did want to also mention that because it seems like the Bulls are dealing with some nagging injuries right now. Now, not everyone's dealing with anything serious or anything that's necessarily going to keep them out some games, but it does seem like there is some nagging injuries going on with the Chicago Bulls, and Zach LaVine is one. To add to that, Io and Vooch are both listed as probable for tonight. That means they're more likely than not to play. But again, be on the lookout for that. I don't know if you guys anybody saw the slowdown video of the time that Grayson Allen kind of need Io a little bit. That's not even to throw any more heat on Grayson Allen because he has enough in the city of Chicago. But that being said, and Vooch also has that hamstring injury. Didn't seem to hurt him too bad in the last game. We know we want the Bulls to win against the Cleveland Cavaliers team. That's been a tough matchup for us. Now, they do not have Jared Allen tonight. But again, definitely want to see a win. Definitely want to see everybody get back healthy. Last injury update. Well, outside of Lonzo Ball, we do have Patrick Williams did participate in all of practice, but the contact portion of practice. So what that could mean is as they gear him up, they could try to gear him up over the course of this next week to get him into full contact practice, see how he does another week after that. And then we may begin Patrick Williams back in 2 weeks or less. So be on the lookout for that. I wanted to give a full update on the injury. Now, yesterday was the 6-week mark of Lonzo Ball surgery. No, his return was 6 to 8 weeks. Seems like it's going to be more towards the 8-week mark of that than the 6 weeks, which puts him back, being able to come back with about 8 games, I believe, left. Which is more than enough to really gear up for playoffs, especially with the role that Lonzo plays. And key thing is with this is that it's more important that Lonzo get fully healthy than anything else. It's more important than he get fully healthy. Take as much time as he needs. But I did want to update on that. The 6-week mark did pass, so he's going to be more towards that 8-week, maybe even 9 weeks, more so than the 6-week portion of it. And that's fine. The main thing with this team is, and you see, pretty much that sentiment is shared in the voicemails that we get today. It's just getting everybody back healthy. But I wanted to provide those injury updates as well as just a little bit on the Cleveland Cavaliers game that happens tonight. It's a late start tonight, at least for me out here on in Eastern time. It starts at 9 p.m. And overall, just to see how the Bulls play, Darius Garland is a bad man, right? But I do think that Io can guard him. And it's going to be interesting to see that matchup as well as the matchup overall from top to bottom. What does Mobley do with Vooch? How does Vooch react to having somebody like Mobley guard him? So all those things are remain to be seen. I know they just signed Moses Brown. What type of impact does he give them as well? We're going to be on the lookout for all of that. We know what our Bulls need to do. They need to execute very well on offense, do enough things on defense to stop them from hurting, and hopefully not give up any big runs, especially in that third and fourth quarter, which they tend to do. We'll see that, watch all of that. But let's go ahead and get into what the meat and potatoes of this episode of Chicago Bulls Central is, and that's the voicemail. I wanted to catch up with you guys. So first, we're going into Marcus, who leaves this.
What is up, Haize? It's your boy, Marcus. I watch a lot of your videos, and I really respect what you're doing with this, with the whole Bulls channel and the podcast and everything. But I just got a few thoughts on the Bulls. So I think that people is overreacting on just like how we've been playing and just everything. Just people just overreacting. I think Bulls fans just need to appreciate the fact that we is doing this good, way better than we've been doing since 2017. This is probably the best record we had since 2017, or probably a little bit better than that. We might have a better record. But I think, honestly, my honest opinion is I think that for health, I think this team is a second round exit. I don't think we can make it to the conference finals because those top tier teams in the East, they have playoff pedigree. They got playoff experience. The boys just need to get their feet wet in the playoffs, go against some good competition in the first round, so that our young players like Pat Will, like Ayo, Kobe, Zach LaVine, players like that can get that experience in the playoffs. And then if we get knocked out, we got everybody come back full strength, fully healthy. We get a couple acquisitions in the off season, do a couple trades, but keep our core players together. And then next year we run it back. We think like, okay, we already lost to this team last year, so this year we're gonna come in with the same mindset but a different strategy, you know? So those teams at full strength, I don't think we could beat those teams like the Bucks or the Heat. I think the Heat is the favorite out of the East in my opinion. The Heat, the 76ers, like we can't beat those teams in a 7-game series because their top players, they have the top players in the league on their team, and all of them have playoff experience. Some of them got rings, so we can't do anything with that. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on the Bulls and how everything is going. I'm really grateful for your channel, and I like what you're doing. Keep up the good work. Peace.
All right. So Marcus says, and this is a level-headed thing, right? Saying fans were overreacting to the Bulls losing streak, but then also says that he honestly thinks the Bulls may be a second-round exit. And I think there are a lot of people that share that sentiment now, especially as it seems like teams have adjusted to the way that the Bulls play offense and how they guard the Bulls. With those things happening, there are people who have their expectations or their hopes, I should say, because I don't think anybody necessarily coming into the season expected the team to make the Eastern Conference Finals. But for the people that did have those expectations rise or those desires rise and thought that we could, over the last handful of games with the Bulls playing the way they have, do now think that the Bulls may be a second round. Hell, there are some that think that it may be a first round exit. And what I want to say to that is this: even if the Bulls are a second round exit, even if they do not make the Eastern Conference Finals, like Marcus said, it's not over. And that was been my sentiment for a long time as well. This isn't the last season of basketball for the Chicago Bulls, right? Bulls fans have worked themselves into thinking this 3-year window because that's DeMar's window and thinking that that's it. And it's not. And listen, this team and this front office deserves to be able to keep building out this team. Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't turn a team around from being a non-playoff team to a surefire contender in 1 year usually. Has it happened? I'm sure it's happened over the course of the NBA lifespan, but that's not the way it usually goes. Now, what all that being said, I still do think that this team, fully healthy, can compete with anyone. I know some people in the comments left the Bulls can't play with Boston. They wouldn't win a single game. All that is noise. The Bulls have enough talent, and what they have shown when they are the closest form of fully healthy, that they play and they do enough on both sides of the ball to be able to compete with anyone, period. And so I do believe that. And if it ends up being a second round, or God forbid a first round exit for the Chicago Bulls, which I don't expect, but if it does end up being that, it's not over. It's not the end of the road. We have a lot of years left ahead, especially, once Zach LaVine signs that contract. It's not over. The window is not closing anytime soon. Matter of fact, I would even go as far to say the window is barely open, right? So for people who are thinking, oh, we have a 3-year window, that window is barely even open. It's cracked right now. It's not fully open. The Bulls have a lot of things that they can continue to do. So this 3-year window that some people have worked themselves into thinking just isn't realistic. And I do appreciate Marcus's call. Thank you, Marcus. Let's go ahead and get to the next one. This one is from Ricky, who has an interesting take on Billy Donovan's rotation.
Hey, this is Ricky Carroll. How you doing, bro? I'm watching one of your broadcasts now. Real quickly, the way I think the Bulls can get out of this losing streak, Billy's going to have to cut his players down to 8 or 7. Okay? And he's going to have to get into a rotation. And stop about that dumbass 7 when players get into a rhythm. Caruso don't like it. Just look at his eyes. That's another story. That's what I think. Peace.
All right. So Ricky, and this is interesting, right? He says that rotation needs to be cut down to 8 to 7. Well, Bulls really have been playing that rotation just because out of necessity, because of them having so many injuries. They really maybe 9 deep, but not all 9 players play a lot of minutes. So the rotation has been shrunk. If anything, as we get players back healthy, I do want to see that rotation increase, mainly because I don't want DeMar from now to the end of the season to keep having to play 38 minutes a game, right? I don't want to see that. I want to see them get some rest. I want to see the rotation. Now, I want to see it expand, but expand in the sense that because we are winning, we can afford to play other players, and because we get players back healthy. So I don't know, Ricky, if I necessarily agree with that rotation of being 8 to 7 players. I do think as we get more players back, that rotation is going to increase, and it's going to lessen minutes for Zach, lessen minutes for DeMar, and then hopefully we can have them with better fresh legs, especially when you see like Zach LaVine now being listed as questionable. Getting them more rest, lowering their minutes, being able to play more people and trust more people is going to help them be more fresh for the playoffs, which is really what everything's built around right now. But let me know down below if you agree with Ricky. How do you think? Now, in the playoffs, the rotation is absolutely going to shrink, right? The rotation is going to shrink in the playoffs. That happens everywhere. But right now, in the regular season, where we are with 16 games left, I don't necessarily say that I agree with that. Now, another thing that Ricky left here is DeMar DeRozan. He said DeMar DeRozan doesn't like Billy Donovan. Now, I have not picked up on any of that. Like, I know that there are a lot of Bulls fans who are unhappy with Billy Donovan right now, rightfully so. I understand some of the critiques Billy Donovan's been getting. I'm not saying that that's out, but I think sometimes we tend to look for things to support those type of thoughts more so than it being reality. I can't say that I've seen anything with DeMar DeRozan's body language, but let me know down below, guys. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there is something there to be said that maybe DeMar DeRozan doesn't really care for Billy Donovan. I can't say that I've seen it, but I'm open to hearing what you guys think on that as well. Let's go ahead and get into this next voicemail. This one is from Eastside.
Yo, what up, Haize? It's Eastside Buck from the 804, Richmond, Virginia. I was calling to just say, you're right about the coaching. I think Billy needs to step it up. And I also would like to see Vooch keep playing like you're playing, because I don't think that he's being soft. That's just his game. And I also would like to see Zach, Kobe White, and Ayo attack the basket more. I would like to see them trap the ball more. I would like to see their arms spread it out. I would like to see better defense. That's the only problem I see. And as far as us being contenders, look how good we do without the 3 players that we got out. Imagine when they come back, man. It's going to be trouble. Trouble. In the words of Bernie Mac, rest in peace. Thanks.
All right. This one kind of, I like having these two back to back because he mentioned how Billy Donovan needs to step up coaching, right? And even saying that Billy Donovan kind of needs to get more anime. Now, that's not really Billy Donovan's his personality, so I don't expect him to see like get fired up, get any texts or anything like that. But I will say this is that as far as Billy Donovan needing to step up coaching, we've known it's adjustments. I've said that. I've talked about it heavily on this podcast and the show. So yes, Billy Donovan, I would like to see him improve on the way that he makes adjustments, how quick he makes adjustments. I want to see him trust the hot hand a little bit more as well. So all those things I do agree with. Now, some other things that Eastside says on this. He talked about Vooch. He's not soft, which I'm glad that somebody said that because Vooch is not a soft player. He's not a good defender. He's not. And he gets frustrated on himself. But I would not label Vooch as soft, in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't agree with that. And also, Eastside saying that the guards need to attack more. Yes, I would say that. But again, with that being said, Billy Donovan also needs to trust him. It can't be all DeMar down the stretch, right? He needs to trust when Kobe's hot, when Ayo's shooting the ball well, he needs to trust them more. That's how you get them battle tested. That's how you get them over the hump. And this fear that we seem to see with them sometimes, where if the games get tight, games get close, they really don't want to be the ones to mess up. So they aren't really shooting the ball at the frequency that we think that they can and passing up open shots. So agree with some of what you said, most of what you said, honestly, there, Eastside. But let's go ahead and move on. This next one is another one from Ricky.
What up, Haize? Ricky Carroll again. Don't know if you've been getting my texts or not, but I hope you get this one. I'm watching the 76ers game. The referees ain't calling shit. All right. It's almost the end of the third quarter. The Bulls have went down 3 straight times. Obvious fouls, man. And the referee they ain't calling a damn thing. Nothing. And they've been doing that through the whole game. And it's going to continue to happen to Billy get thrown out of a couple games and get some attention from somebody else. I don't know who's going to do it, Adam Silver or whoever, but he need to get it done because it is totally ridiculous how lopsided these calls are going per game. How in the hell can they win when you touch and it's a foul and you get your head knocked off and they look the other way? How is that a run? It's not. Peace.
All right, Ricky watching the 76ers game, which was a very frustrating game to watch, especially with calls. Luckily, we've seen it in the last couple games that those fouls come back down to earth, right? It definitely was out there for a while, but the Bulls have been officiated weird all season long, so there's definitely something to be said with that. What I will say on the lopsided calls is that if this continues in the playoffs, right, if the Bulls continue to be officiated in the way that they are, something's going to have to change. And that more so goes back to that point I made of Billy Donovan feeding the hot hand, because it really does seem like the refs aren't giving DeMar the calls that he was getting at the beginning of the season. Now, in the last couple games, they've definitely come back up. So, that may be all null and void as we watch to the rest of the end of the season. But I will say that it is something to watch. And if DeMar isn't getting those calls, then you do have to make, again, an adjustment. And that's my issue with Billy Donovan sometimes, is the adjustments. But let me know what you guys think down below on that one. Let's go ahead and get into this next one. This one is from a caller from the 563.
Hey, they got to stop tripping over this 5-game losing streak. It was good for them, but then they won or lost. It's playoff basketball. Okay? They're playing these hard teams, and that's good. And these teams that are coming up, these not too hard them teams, they're supposed to beat them. They're supposed to get up there and put their foot down on the ground and play as hard as they can. I threw superstars. They playing hard, but they're not tough. So, whenever we get some help, and I try to tell you, we do need another big man because of injuries, but whenever we get some help, some guys come back, it's going to be great. As far as Patrick Williams, I can understand he's been out so long, but he ain't number 19 years old. Most 19 years old, they heal fast. He must have really been a bad hurt. A break, should I say. But that's all I got to say about that. I know they got 3 minutes. I wish I could talk to you a whole lot longer. Bro, your show is the best. I don't even watch them other guys on ESPN and all that. I don't watch that. I have more fun watching your show. Peace.
All right. So, the 563, he didn't leave his name, or at least I didn't hear. The first part of your voicemail was kind of low there. And also something that I do want to say, I want to go back to one of Ricky's call. Guys, turn your TVs down if you're gonna be leaving in a voicemail. Some of those I hear and some of that I couldn't play. We got quite a bit of voicemails where it was either like a car radio or the TV in the background. Get those down if you're gonna leave a voicemail, mainly because I want to be able to play your voicemail. And if it's not audible for the listeners of the podcast or the viewers who are watching on YouTube, I can't really play it. And even if I can get bits and pieces from it, I can't really use it. So just a FYI on that one. But to get to the 563, the 5-game losing streak being good for the Bulls. It can be, right? It all depends on how they bounce back from it. And we're still in the midst of seeing how they're going to bounce back from it. But it could have definitely been a good one for them, a chance for them to look at themselves, as well as like Tristan Thompson going off on them on the sidelines, all those type of things. Those things, I've said it before, there is growth in failure, right? And that 5-game losing streak was a fail. And hopefully we see growth from the players on this team, both the youngins and both the veterans as well, of how this team bonds together to not have that failure happen again, right? And that doesn't mean they're not going to lose games. That doesn't mean that they're not necessarily going to lose games in the same manner in which they did. But it's fixing a lot of those things, making routine, building good routines, stuff like that. All those things matter, and losses sometimes do help that. So, yeah, I definitely agree with your sentiment there. And I know it's not something that Bulls fans or any fans of any team like to hear, but sometimes you do need to lose to ultimately grow to win more, right? Grow to win more. And I think that this Bulls team did need that. I think that this losing stretch, as much as they shouldn't have lost some of those games. Let me be clear. But maybe they did need that leading into a playoff run and before the playoffs begin, because it is going to help them. That was playoff atmosphere basketball, and they lost those games. So hopefully, the Bulls fix that going forward. This last voicemail is from Marvin, and as you guys know, I'm going to throw Marvin a little shot here. This is fun because Marvin's a member of the Chicago Bulls Central family at this point. Marvin gets very long-winded all the time. This one's for Marvin.
Morning, Haize. Marvin. Just wanted to call in. First of all, good win last night. I think we all needed that. But I wanted to check with you on something, man, and the fan. I went back into your archives, man, and I listened to your takes early in the season, middle of the season, and then last night. And I appreciate your I appreciate your patience and understanding about a team. Now, I want to address the fans on this. How about this, guys? All the craziness about a 5-game losing streak, we win last night, you sleep well. Isn't that something? My suggestion is this. Let's stay in the middle. We can't win all the games. We're not going to win all the games. The most important thing is getting to the playoff healthy and making a run. Now, I'm not saying it's like we won the championship last night. One game, guys. Now, the difference is we have games ahead of us. Let's be patient. Let's root for our team, make sure that we play well and stay healthy. Also, I just wanted to say, man, if everybody can keep their wits about themselves and understand that the Bulls are going to go through things as well as other teams, then I think we'll be okay. We get healthy. We're going to get surprised with Caruso and Patrick Williams and Alonzo coming back. None of us really know. So let's all keep our heads right, understand that this is a long season, and what our goal is be healthy going into the playoffs. Last night was a damn good thing we needed. I'm pretty sure every one of us as fans slept well last night. Me, myself, the 5-game losing streak, I had us losing 4 of them. The only one that I had us winning was against Atlanta, and we didn't win that one, so it wasn't no thing to me. But I figured we could win last night and the next one and the one after that. Boston's nipping at our heels. We need to keep our heads together, man, and get this done well. But I want to say I appreciate you, Haize, because like I said, I'm going through your archives, checking all of your stuff. You're pretty right on about a lot of things. So, and fans, if you go do the same, just listen to some of his comments and think to yourself, how much is it going to affect if I get angry about a loss and then be as happy as I was last night? It doesn't make a difference. But we got a game coming up. Let's go. Appreciate it. Haize, go Bulls. Later.
And Marvin, motivating as well. Marvin is very much tries to be the level-headed fan and get other fans to be level-headed. And this is what I'm going to say. Yes, it's funny how things change once a win comes. And it's funny how much more they change if we get 2, 3 wins all strung together. Listen, the Bulls' back half of the schedule is tough. The last 5 games of the season, 5 out of the last 6 games of the season, because our very last game of the season is against Minnesota, but 5 out of those last 6 games of the season are all going to be against playoff or play-in teams. It's a nice gauntlet to prepare you for playoff basketball. It's going to get harder before it gets easier. And because of that, the fan base wants to win. It never feels good for your team to lose, much less lose a bunch of games in a row. But the one thing that I will say with this is that yes, a win does change. A win changes the conversation. The win changes how tense the fans are. It changes everything. It changes it for the players as well. Wins change things. But we got to keep our level head and remember how good this team was. That's not to say you guys know, I'm not somebody who excuses losses. I'm not someone who excuses when easy mistakes that can be fixed are made. I'm not one of those fans who are going to see things and just be like, oh, well, the Bulls are easily going to fix that. We're undefeated when we have our full starting 5. Listen, all that is good and it sounds good and it looks good and it looks effortless to a degree. But when you're seeing and you're watching basketball and you're evaluating, yes, wins do feel and look good, but even in wins, you can see some things. And like I said, when the Bulls were on their last winning streak, there were some things in that winning streak that I saw that I was like, this is going to be a problem when they face better competition. We got to be honest in evaluating, but we also have to be honest and give some grace in the fact that this team isn't going to win every game. They're going to go through losing streaks. They're probably going to go on another 2 or 3 game losing streak between now and the end of the season. But with all that being said, right, this team needs to improve on certain things, and it's fine to talk about that. It's fine to also call out some of the bullshit that you see this team doing. But at the end of the day, right, it's not over. This is not the last season. This is not the last season in which the Bulls are going to lose. So it is what it is, right? But the fan base, sometimes we do need to calm down as fans and remember and be in perspective that this is the first year that this team has been so improved. This is the first year, as another caller said, that we've gotten this many wins, so many firsts in so long for the Chicago Bulls, that overall, no matter what happens with the season, it's a net positive. It could end disappointingly, right? And we could very well be disappointed in how this season ends. Let me be clear. But net-wise, from the growth from last season to this, it's a net win. And that's how I'm going to end this episode on Chicago Bulls Central. Make sure you're following the podcast at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a voicemail, you can do so at 773-270-2799. That's it. I'll see you guys halftime hangout and post-game. Maybe pre-game. I'm not sure with that one yet, but be on the lookout. Click the notification bell. Make sure you're subscribed as well. Get notified of every time I go live, all things like that, because I do random lives as well. But that's it for me for today. See red, don't be red. Go Bulls. I love you guys. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.